Hi everybody, I'm Dr. L. I'm forensic pathologist certified in USA and Scandinavia. Today I'm going to walk you through one of my templates for autopsy report. Specifically, it's a template for multiple gunshot wounds. This template is designed to streamline reporting of repeated injuries, as for example multiple gunshot wounds. I consider to demonstrate using of this template in real time. If you are interested, let's start. The main reason why I created this additional template for special injuries, like for example gunshot wounds, is to avoid overloading my general autopsy template. I experienced that if your main template getting too complicated and has too many conditional splits, artificial intelligence tend to miss sections or otherwise to add something of her own. If you watched my previous video, you know that I have a basic template. And this basic template I'm usually using for majority of cases such as natural death, drug-related death, and blunt force injury. But for specific situations like, for example, multiple gunshot wounds of head, hanging, and other cases, I've created separate template. I tend to use these templates for injury and afterwards add it manually to my autopsy report. Basically, my standard template can handle multiple gunshot wounds, but it usually ends up being more schematic without using exact language, and sometimes it comes not completely right. Using a specialized template lets you describe gunshot wounds more thoroughly and precisely using language exactly the way you want. Now let me show how this template is structured. I break down my gunshot wound template the following way. First, the entrance wound, description of entrance wound. The second is a path of the wound. The third is a description of exit wound. The fourth is associated injuries. The fifth is recovery or not recovery of the projectile. And the sixth is direction of the wound. The best part of this template is that you don't even need to describe everything in one continuous narrative. Instead, you can list each wound separately, assigning the number to each. For example, you say wound number 3 is location and describe this wound. Afterwards, you say wound number 4. You describe location and how does this wound look like. And afterwards, you can decide the path of the wound, associated injury, and whether projectile was recovered or not. This template have even small nice thing that it can determine is it perforating or penetrating wound, depending of presence or absence of exit wound. It's not a large thing, but however, it adds to total accuracy of your reports. And of course, I need to mention that it's artificial intelligence. It can generate a pretty good and solid draft, but you still need to go through it, review it, and change all mistakes. Now let's jump into a demonstration. I'm going to walk you through a made-up cases involving multiple gunshot wounds, so you can see how artificial intelligence works in real time. Let's get started. Let's start the dictation. I created a diagram of a person with multiple gunshot wounds. The person has 3 holes on the anterior part of the body and 2 holes on the posterior part of the body. I will use my multiple gunshot wound template, and I share this template with everybody. You can find it on my webpage forensic.org under the menu resources and downloads. For purpose of this presentation, I will dictate to this voice recorder. It's a cheap no-brand voice recorder from Amazon, and it works just fine. I will put link on it under this video. Otherwise, you can choose voice recorder built in Windows or Mac, or you can record it on your phone. For purpose of this presentation, I will not dictate these gunshot wounds as a continuous text, as for example, entrance wound, path, exit wound, direction, and recovery of the projectile. I will dictate it as I go. I will dictate each one separately, and afterwards I come back and dictate a path, recovery, injury, and so on. I will start. Start of dictation. I will dictate multiple gunshot wounds. At the first, I will dictate each wound and describe characteristics of this wound, and afterwards I will dictate path, direction, and associated injury, so you need to put everything together. Wound number 1, it's an entrance type gunshot wound located 32 cm below the top of the head and 6 cm to the left from the anterior midline of the chest. The wound is located on the upper aspect of the left side of the chest. The size of the wound is 1.0 by 0.8 centimeter. The wound is oval. The wound is surrounded by circumferential abrasion ring up to 0.1 centimeter. No soot, no stippling, no muzzle imprint. Wound number 2. It's an entrance type gunshot wound located on the left lower abdominal quadrant, 52 centimeter below the top of the head and 14 centimeter to the left from the anterior midline. The size of the wound is 1.2 by 0.9. Wound is oval. The wound has dark red abrasions ring which is 0.6 centimeter wide. Abrasions ring is from 1 o'clock to 6 o'clock. No soot, no stippling, no muzzle imprint. Gunshot wound number 3. It's an entrance type gunshot wound located on the right forearm, 25 centimeter below the top of the shoulder. Size of the wound is 0.9 by 0.8 centimeter. The wound is surrounded by circumferential 0.1 centimeter dark red abrasion. There is a stippling surrounding the wound. Distance from the center of the wound to the edge of the stippling is at 12 o'clock 2.0 centimeter, at 3 o'clock 2.5 centimeter, at 6 o'clock 3.0 centimeter, and 9 o'clock it's a 5.0 centimeter. No muzzle imprint and no soot. Wound number 4. It's an exit type gunshot wound located on the upper aspect of the left side of the back, 40 centimeter below the top of the head and 9 centimeter to the left from the posterior midline. The wound is slit-like, 1.3 by 0.4 centimeter. The edges are irregular and scalloped. No abrasion, no soot, no muzzle imprint, no stippling. Wound number 5. It's a graze wound located 30 centimeter below the top of the right shoulder. The size of the wound is 2.0 by 0.9 centimeter. The wound is superficial, confined to the skin and subcutaneous soft tissue. The depth of the wound is approximately 0.8 centimeter. An eccentric abrasion, dark red color, is from 3 o'clock to 9 o'clock, and width of abrasion is up to 1.6 centimeter. And now I continue dictation and I will connect this wound. The first will be gunshot wound A of the chest. The entrance wound is wound described as number 1. The exit wound is described as number 4. The path is through the skin and subcutaneous tissue of the anterior aspect of the left side of the chest, left chest cavity, upper lobe of the left lung, anterior aspect of the left second rib, posterior aspect of the left fourth rib. Associated injury is fracture of the anterior aspect of the left second rib, perforation defect of the upper lobe of the left lung, and fracture of the posterior aspect of the left fourth rib. And hemothorax, left chest cavity, 250 milliliters. Direction of the wound is from front to back, upwards, and right to left. No projectile is recovered. The next wound will be gunshot wound B of the abdomen. Entrance wound is previously described wound number 2. No exit wound. they pass through the skin subcutaneous soft tissue of the retroperitoneum, left kidney, and lateral aspect of the second lumbar vertebra. A deformed brown metal projectile is recovered from the periosteum of the second lumbar vertebra. Associated injury is retroperitoneal hemorrhage and perforation defect of the left kidney and minimal amount of blood in the abdominal cavity. Direction of the wound is from front to back, left to right, and slightly upwards. The next wound will be gunshot wound C of the right upper extremity. Entrance wound will be wound number 3, no exit wound. Wooden pass is through the skin and subcutaneous tissue and right ulna. A deformed brown metal projectile is recovered from the soft tissue of the right forearm. Direction of the wound is from front to back, left to right, and upwards. Associated injury, it's a fracture of the right ulna. And the last gunshot wound will be gunshot wound D of the left upper extremity. The wound is superficial graze wound confined to the skin and subcutaneous tissue. The direction of the wound is from left to right and upwards. End of dictation. And now I connected my recorder and create new session and choose dictation and choose uploading a file, and I move. While it copies, I will tell that I'm using artificial intelligence platform called Heidi Health. I start using it because of that time I start playing with artificial intelligence. It was probably cheaper option, but I'm pretty happy with this. I think it works very well. Link for this platform is under my video. Okay, so file is copied. Now it begins to write a note. It's writing a note. It usually does not take long time. And now it's done. And now I'm creating a document. And as a document, I will choose this template. And now see, magic happened. I call this template gunshot wounds with autopsy finding. So in this template, I asked artificial intelligence to format my gunshot wounds exactly the way I want and write a autopsy findings also exactly the way I want. So in autopsy findings, it writes where is the entrance wound, exit wound, associated finding, and direction. And if it's recovery of projectile, it will write recovery. If it's no recovery of projectile, it will write nothing. So we see wound A. It's an entrance wound on the left side of the chest, exit wound on the left side of the back, associated injuries, and direction of the wound. And wound B, C, D. And here's the detailed descriptions of the wound. When it writes in verbiage that I exactly ask artificial intelligence to use. So it does not bring anything else than my verbiage. You probably noticed that I have not said to artificial intelligence, is it penetrating or perforating wound? Because I wanted to demonstrate that it will do it by itself. And it's done. So it says perforating gunshot wound A of the chest because of the head and entrance and exit. Penetrating wound of the abdomen because of we did have entrance and did not have exit. We had a projectile recovered. Penetrating of upper extremity because of we don't have entrance wound, and graze wound. I was slightly excited how it will describe graze wound because of I have not brought description of Grace wound to artificial intelligence. So I just tried to experimenting and see how will it manage it. But it seems that it do it very well. Thank you very much for staying with me so long. If you like the content, please don't forget to hit a like button. And don't forget to subscribe to my channel if you want to learn how to streamline your autopsy reports using artificial intelligence. If you have a question, you're always welcome to ask me question in a comment. I answer all of them. It was Dr. L. Thank you for watching, and I will see you again next video.